Good afternoon. It is so wonderful to be here as we thank you. As we herald what I call a new era for New York. And I'm delighted to be here with my partner as we usher in this new era for New York. And that is our new, incredible, energetic, and many times fun Mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. I want to give him a round of applause. I also want to acknowledge some other individuals who are joining us to make some very significant announcements here today. We have a brand new commissioner for the New York City Police Department, Commissioner Sewell, who comes with an incredible amount of experience. And as I mentioned, a new era, I'm so excited about partnering the state and the city when it comes to deploying all the resources to make New Yorkers feel safe again. So thank you, Commissioner, for being here as well. Someone who I've come to rely on incredibly since our first hours in office, battling the rages of a hurricane. This is the person you want in trenches with you, and that is our State Operations Director, Garcia. Also, we have representatives from the New York City Transit. That is Craig Cipriano. Also, Sarah Meyer, our Customer Service Officer at MTA. Sarah's got a lot on her hands. Thank you, Sarah. And Pat Warren, the Chief of Safety and Security right now at MTA. And, of course, we know Jan Oliver is our leader. We're here today to address an issue that is on the minds of so many New York residents, and that is the issue of homelessness. So we're going to talk about homelessness and public safety. And I want to talk about the fact that, as I mentioned in my State of the State yesterday, this truly is a humanitarian crisis. It's hard for people to walk past someone in need of help on our city sidewalks, whether they're coming to a subway station, a train station, or just walking to work. And roughly 3,000 to 4,000 people, our fellow citizens, are homeless on the streets. These are the New Yorkers for whom the system has failed. And failure is not an option for us in government. So we're going to go back. We're going to assess the problem and know that no New Yorker should ever have to experience life on the streets. And in our state, we're going to deploy the tools that we have available to team up with the mayor and tackle this issue head on. Because our ultimate goal is to make sure that every New Yorker has a roof over their head and that they are safe. And again, New York City, new era, new opportunity. And New York City is one of 3 cities where there actually is a guaranteed right to shelter. What does that mean if there's not a safe shelter to go to? So yesterday I announced a major initiative. The first time we're going to create teams of trained professionals who will be embedded here, who will develop relationships, develop trust, and allow us to face the issue of chronic street homelessness with a plan. We're going to get them the support they need, get them into shelter, and ultimately into housing. So we're going to have what we call our state-funded SOS teams, Safe Options Support. What does that mean? These are individuals who work hand-in-hand with New York City outreach teams. This is what has to happen. This is where you don't need to be siloed or have turf battles. You team together. That's how it works. That's what's been missing. And today, to address this, I'm announcing that I'm signing an RFP to go out immediately to develop these teams, to staff up initial 5 batch of teams right now. Each team, what is this? 8 to 10 people are part of a team. These are medical professionals, they're social workers, outreach people, socialists who understand the very deep human needs that lead people to need more help than they're getting. Because, as I said yesterday, I believe we can and will do better. It's that simple. We have no choice but to act. At the same time, I also mentioned that street homelessness only accounts for a fraction of people who are housing insecure. Many of the people do live in shelters. Shelters can be a scary place for someone, especially during COVID, when we tell people not to be in congregate settings. We're worried about that as they are as well. So we also need to talk about another issue. and how to make sure that our streets and subways are safer. And I'm so glad that we're going to talk about a plan to do just that. But I mentioned we're just talking about the tip of the iceberg here. And that's why, in conjunction with launching a very hands-on strategic approach to dealing with the people on the streets, I want them to have an option to go somewhere else that is safe and worthy of them. And that means we're going to continue focusing on what I announced yesterday, 100,000 new affordable housing units. But not just affordable housing. This recognizes that people are homeless because they have unmet needs, unmet mental health needs, substance abuse issues, PTSD if these are our veterans. They need our help. So we'll also add 100,000 supportive housing units. And I have been to so many ribbon cuttings at these types of facilities in other times. And it's like welcoming people home again and saying, this is your new life. It's beautiful how government can provide that to a human being. It's powerful, and it's what we must continue to do. We're going to focus on also the most vulnerable populations, whether it's our runaway young people, LGBTQ youth who have nowhere to go, and formerly incarcerated individuals. And you heard me announce yesterday a bold plan to welcome them back into society, and some may need a transition back because they've been out of their community for so long. Transitional helping to help them get on their feet as well. We also announced eviction prevention legal assistance to help low-income individuals at risk of being evicted as well. So today, we turn yesterday's rhetoric into action. And it starts here right now with an incredible partner that I am so enthusiastic and so ready to roll up our sleeves and get the job done for all New Yorkers. And with that, I'm proud to introduce the Mayor of New York City, Eric Adams.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, as you move through the state with your swagger, you know, and your thoughtfulness and thoughtfulness of how we must really have the partnership. And people miss the fact that the coordination that's taking place in Albany and New York is allowing us to just get stuff done. And the communication we had even around the school openings and how we talked about getting our children back into schools and moving supplies. You helped us get a million test kits, 2 million test kits down to the city so that we can deploy and get them into school. And all of those things are happening behind the scene. This is a homecoming for me. I was a transit cop in this station almost 30 years ago. And I remember this station, and I remember the challenges before they rebuilt the location. I remember riding these trains. I remember during the high crime period and high crime time, and when people were afraid to utilize our system. Graffiti was everywhere, and there was just a feeling that the system was out of control. Today, we are saying we are not going back there. But not only are we not going back, but we're going to utilize our police to do public safety and our mental health professionals to give people the services that they need. And so this historical moment that many people may miss, but I acknowledge how important it is. A safe option, support, team plan is going to do just that. And as I look at Dr. Ashwin, who's here, how he talked about this so much during his work in the organization he was affiliated with, the group went out and dealt with street homeless all the times, and he understood it, and that was one of the leading reasons we brought him on our team, the deputy mayor and I. Our city can take two of the biggest challenges, I believe, and solve them. Helping and fighting homelessness that many of our brothers and sisters New Yorkers are experiencing, and public safety. I said it over and over again that public safety and justice is the prerequisite to prosperity. And I've seen it from both sides, both living on the verge of homelessness as a child and riding these subways to protect everyday New Yorkers as they went to and from their place of employment. I know what life was like in this system as a transit cop and how important it is to give the perception of safety with the actual safety. But I also know that New Yorkers care about the people that use this system. It breaks their hearts to walk past people that are living on a train or experiencing a level of homelessness in this city. These new safe options support teams would do just that by helping our homeless New Yorkers access the services they need. Far too often, those critical periods where people have lost their jobs, lost their homes, or going through some form of healthcare crisis, if you don't reach them at that critical period, it would take a longer investment to turn their lives around, and we want to do so at that critical period. With proven methods and research, that's the team we're building. They understand this line of work. They are committed to getting it right, and we're going to do that. This new plan also frees up our police officers to focus on crime and not be the street sweepers of sweeping men and women who are homeless off our system. Nowhere is that more important than the transit system. Over the last year, New Yorkers have heard this from me again and again. I talked about what the issue is in our subway system. Actual crime and the perception of crime and the perception of disorder leads to the crisis we are facing. But also, we can do a better job by addressing the public safety aspect. And we need to be clear here. We will not allow our police officers to have unnecessary engagement with homeless individuals and those petty issues that will cause a negative encounters with our police officers and the riders of the public. We want serious criminals, like the one that stabbed the individual yesterday on the subway system. That is our focus, public safety. So we were going to sustain and ensure that we don't continue to see a decline in ridership. We want to reduce the amount of people who no longer want to take our trains or invest in our city. We want to ensure that tourists and others are safe on our subway system, and that's why this important partner of ensuring that our transit system is safe. And so as we head into the new year with this recovery, we must restore public trust in our transportation system. And I will say it over and over again, that trust comes with public safety. We're going to add hundreds of daily visual inspections from existing police manpower. That's the goal. How do we better utilize our police force? And those existing men and women on patrol will have an additional responsibility to go into the subway system and do visual inspections. Omnipresence brings about the level of security and safety. So those precinct-level officers, they will park, they will go into the subway system, and they will inspect the stations to determine if there are any law problems or any public safety problems that are existing. And we're going to also have officers that are behind the desk. I said this on the campaign trail. Too many officers who were hired for public safety are sitting behind desk. We gave them that bulletproof vest, that badge, and that firearm to go on patrol and protect the public, not to protect a computer screen. We want them on patrol where they're supposed to be. And by getting officers from behind the desk, we're going to beef up our manpower in a real way. In addition, transit officers on patrol will now do this. They're going to ride the trains. When the last time you saw an officer walk through the train? To see him there and engage with passengers. How are you? How was your day? To rebuild that trust. That's the omnipresence that I knew as a rookie cop. When you walk through that train and the public sees you, they feel the level of confidence that the system is a safe place to be. Subway riders will see our officers on that patrol, and ready to respond if needed. And so I am really pleased with this moment, Governor, with your additional resources. It is going to allow us to receive the mental health professionals to help us on the ground and be proactive. And part of the role our police officers will play, if they identify a homeless condition, they're going to communicate with our outreach workers so they can respond, not to have the officers engage unless there is some criminal activity taking place that needs immediate attention. This is not the partnership where officers are going to be engaging, but mental health professionals building trust, giving people the resources they need, and giving them the dignity and respect they deserve to ensure they could have permanent housing or permanent resources. So I'm proud of this moment. I'm proud of what the governor has done for the city of New York, our largest transportation system, where we receive hundreds of thousands of people that utilize this system every day. And if we rebuild the trust, if we rebuild the reliability, and if we rebuild the belief that our system is safe, people will utilize the system again, and it will become part of our overall recovery for the city. So again, Governor, thank you so much. And if I could have the opportunity to introduce my amazing police commissioner and her real vision and outlook for the city of New York, not only below ground, but above ground, and it's the coordination and partnership that we're looking forward to. Police Commissioner?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor and privilege to stand here today with Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams, members of the command staff, and our partners today to speak about the important work we're doing in the nation's largest subway system. It's an exciting day. Communities take many shapes and forms throughout New York City, and not all of them are above ground. We see our subway station and lines as not just necessary rapid transit, but as neighborhoods themselves. And it's easy to understand why. In each station, on each platform, in each train car, there are people who are going to work, to school, to their tourist destinations, and to home. These are all people who make New York City great by keeping it connected, one ride at a time. In fact, if you want to get a quick idea of just how diverse the most diverse city in the country actually is, ride the train. If you want to travel a dozen cultures and traditions in under 20 minutes, ride the train. If you want to see how people get the work of New York City done, ride the train. We know that these millions of riders take a deep sense of ownership in their line, in their station, because for the length of that ride, that's their neighborhood, and their fellow riders are their community. And just as they do above ground, they depend every single day on the NYPD and the MTA to keep them safe. We take great pride in the part we do and our public safety partners play to keep this system running, and we're always looking for ways to improve what we do. As with everything else we do across the city, when something works, we enhance it. When something needs fixing, we fix it. These new NYPD measures mean that officers will be on targeted patrol in the subway system throughout each day. To reinforce what the mayor and the governor have said, this plan, this vision for the subway system means that additional NYPD officers from the Transit Bureau, from Patrol Services Bureau, and from other special units will be reinvigorated to work in tandem for the same goal: to deter crime and getting the assistance people need to them as quickly as possible. There will be hundreds of new visual inspections on the trains throughout each day and night. New Yorkers will witness uniformed officers' presence in the transit system, both on platforms, in and out of trains, riding the trains to cover as much ground as possible. So today, with our governor and our mayor, we're introducing our plan to make this system safer for everybody, every day. We will have additional laser-focused, targeted train deployments on the lines and subway stations that need them the most. With innovative transportation initiatives, they will direct patrols from above-ground precincts to integrate coverage of the transit station in their sectors on each tour every day. This will ensure more uniformed NYPD officers in stations and platforms system-wide. We will use all of our transit bureaus' available resources to deter and prevent crime before it happens and to bring swift justice to victims when and if it does. We will accomplish this by being present, alert, in uniform, and by proactively seeing all of those we serve. As the mayor said, we're going to talk to them, say good morning, say how are you, how is your day going, and actually listening for the answer and responding. If we see passengers sleeping in transit, for example, we will engage them because we know that sleeping passengers are among the most vulnerable victims in the subways. When we see those in need, we will make sure we make real-time referrals to get them the social services and the mental health professionals that can assist them. This subway system is for everyone. It is the lifeblood of this city. It must be and it will be safe. That's our job, and we're getting it done. I'll turn it back over to the governor in a minute.
Like I said, it's a whole new day, New York. You just heard from our commissioner, who speaks with great confidence, and I'm looking forward to working with her as well as embedding her with our state forces as well. So we have a dynamic opportunity here to make a difference. And I do want to thank the mayor for responding and delivering on something that we've talked about. I've been on the job 135 days, but early on I also knew that we needed more of a visible presence in our subways, and not up on the streets, not on the platforms, but in the subways. And I've had these conversations before, and now you've delivered on what we've been wanting to see happen, to give people that confidence that when you get on our trains, you will safely get to your destination, and that our police will be deployed to do the rightful job they have, which is to protect the public, but also managing a situation. Again, I called it a humanitarian crisis. We need to take care of the people involved. So I want to thank everyone for participating. Before I take question and answers, I do have to give a public service announcement about our weather situation. To New Yorkers, I'm from Buffalo. I've got this. Okay. We will be already deploying resources up to Buffalo, to upstate. I know they're getting an enormous amount of snow right now, even by Buffalo standards, and the Skyway is shut down. The state, and this is what Catherine Garcia is also working on, is already deploying resources where we need them, but we also anticipate a major storm here hitting New York City and Long Island. And again, we're experienced, but you can never predict exactly what Mother Nature will do, so we're already getting crews out in advance, working with utility companies, telling them that we expect any problems to be resolved very quickly, and so we're giving more storm updates as necessary. But I've managed more emergency operations centers with boots on and snow over my knees than anybody else probably in state government, so we're ready for this. With that, I'll be happy to entertain any questions, as will the mayor.
We're going to go first, Juliet Papa.
Thank you, Juliet. Yeah, you have to make it a shelter people actually want to be in as well. I mean, this is a scary place for people, especially during COVID. And they're afraid of being victims of crimes within the shelter sometimes, or people that have unmet mental health challenges. This is of concern to them. So we have to change the dynamic of what a shelter is and make it truly temporary, and have enough supportive housing and real homes for people that we can direct them. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. We've been working hard. We will continue to work hard, and that's why I address this issue head on. We need to start building them immediately. But I understand that. It's not going to be a simple task. But it's also about developing relationships with these mental health professionals. And some of them will be formerly homeless individuals themselves who will understand at the very human level what is the barrier for them to go into this home. So we're going to hit it on as many fronts as we can.
Andre Burkett.
Executive orders today to two of which are that school boards will be able to decide whether their students will wear masks, and county workers will have the option to wear or not to wear a mask while working. What's your response?
He asked a question about a county executive on Long Island who is attempting to assert authority with respect to what has already been declared a public health emergency. We have a New York State Department of Health order that on my first day in office, August 24th, I put into effect literally 3 days later on August 27th, that says that children in schools will be wearing masks to keep them safe. And that is one of the reasons why the mayor and I feel so confident that schools are the right place to be. It's not just to be there. We also know that children are masked. That is safer for them. So we have a number of laws in place that, for people who have more experience in county government, would know that state government, state laws prevail. There's also the issue of the state education department, which has direct control over funding of schools. I hope I don't need to say any more on that topic.
Melissa Russo.
Well, you're talking about a number of laws here. One is also something that is specific to New York City, which was adopted, that everyone has the right to not be removed from where they are. I mean, that is probably the more challenging issue right here that I'm happy to have conversations with the mayor on that as well. But we know that's one of the issues. We know that. And so we have to have a multifaceted approach. This is not the be-all, end-all today, but these are conversations worth having that we need to address a situation that has only been growing since the 1970s and 80s when people thought that people should be sent out away from facilities, which, yes, I agree with, but to literally put them out without help was bad public policy even back then. Do you have anything to add, Mayor?
I'm really, as I stated, I'm really proud to have brought on our team the Commissioner of Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Dr. Aswin, what he has done with the Fountain House, and he has been the foundation of my policies around mental health, and it's about building trust. And when you build that trust and you give people the wraparound services, you can actually have a better chance of taking them off the streets. I believe some of the numbers is an 85% stability rate of those who needed the services. And there's a lot of trust. There's people who are living on the streets in the subway system just have a lack of trust in the system. He has done an amazing job with Fountain House. We're going to scale that up and duplicate and invest in that, because you're right. People don't believe in shelters. They're afraid of the shelters because they are unsafe. Many of them are victimized. And our goal is to use proven practices. They're proven methods that we have not invested in, and that's our focus. It's so true, and we have to do a better job. When you look at the totality of the problem, you look at all the numbers, you have to sort of have a multifaceted approach. One, our criminal court judges need to look at the Kendra's law and utilize that law for those who are dangerous to themselves and others. There's a reluctancy to do so. We need to utilize the methods that we're talking about now, using those who are formerly homeless to understand how to better approach and to build that trust. Now, do we reach a point where you have a numerical minority that's saying no matter what you say and do, we're not going to leave? It's up to our state lawmakers to take that into account. I have to operate within the confines of the law. That's what the police commissioner must do. That's what our agencies must do. We must address the problem based on the powers that we have. I think that our lawmakers should re-examine this conversation and figure out how do we give the dignity to everyone to find a place to stay. There's nothing dignified about living on the subway system.
Marshall Kramer.
The police commissioner is committed to maximize every uniformed personnel to do the jobs they were hired for, and that's public protection. She has communicated with the chief of the Transit Bureau and to look at the deployment, and the chief of the department to give clear instructions to our officers that are on patrol. You have a subway station in your sector. You are to park when you're not on a call of service and go into the subway system and do a visual inspection for any criminality or a homeless condition that you can refer to our partners. And those numbers are going to vary based on what's going on during the day. It's going to vary based on conditions. It's going to vary based on the actions that are taking place and jobs they're responding to. But we're going to better utilize our officers, and that's going to increase hundreds of new visual inspections and the omnipresence that we need. The omnipresence is the key. People feel as though the system is not safe because they don't see their officers, and I stated we're going to bring a visual presence back to the system, and this is going to allow us to do so with the manpower that we have.
I'm not sure I heard everything because I think a train's going by right now. But will there be more MTA officers? Is that the question? Right. No, it's jurisdictionally, the city has responsibility for patrolling the MTA. We have MTA officers who perform a certain role, and if we assess that there's a need for more, we absolutely will. I mean, this is where we'll just say, what do you got? What have I got? Is it enough? Let's get this done. So, of course, that is the simple calculus that has been missing in not just this situation, but in many. And that is also why this is a new approach to governing the city and the state. We can be so much more impactful when we do it together.
Katie Honan.
Hi, my question is for the governor and the mayor. You kind of alluded to it, it's a whole new day. So how different are you both going to be, David's predecessors, when it comes to dealing with the MTA, and how else do you think you can work together in improving service and other things for riders in the MTA? What's that?
Yeah. Huge priority. We're still down to about half of our normal ridership. Before COVID, we had been restoring people's faith in coming on the subway. I mean, crime was down dramatically. You know, we've had systemic problems for a long time, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, and also continuing to expand our services and make it cleaner and safer. Now, because of COVID, we've taken a couple steps backward. Let's be honest about that. And what that has done is it's also compromised our revenue source. We count on those fares to fund our services, and when we're down to half of what we had been, that's a direct hit to us. That being said, I will never feel constrained by that. We'll still continue to deliver the very best transit services that New Yorkers deserve. So that is what we're talking about. It is a new day, and I know these are just words today to you, but tomorrow and the next day and the next years going forward, you're going to see and feel a difference. But if we don't make people feel safe, I'm not going to be able to track them back here, even if their job is waiting for them. They'll say, no, I'm going to check this one. I'm going to stay remote. That cannot be, that is not sustainable for New York City. It's temporary, but we're going to continue focusing on expanding the service, making sure we have the resources, and finding the money to get that done.
Mayor Adams wants to find out a working relationship, knowing how historically the governor and the mayor, your predecessors, did not work well together when it came to the How do you see that developing?
Well, I think the governor really touched on it. We have had a city and state of this is mine and this is yours. Instead of saying, how do we put all of our resources together to solve the problems? And from the time she has been elected, every time we reached out to her office, communicated with Catherine and the entire team there, the question has been the same. What do you need? What do you need? We did not believe we could get 2 million test kits. We called the governor's office and we stated we need these test kits to open this school. And they immediately, it was Sunday night, they got on the phone and stated, let's get it done. Let's get it done. And so, you know, GSD is also governor get stuff done. So we're going to have a great relationship. Oh, no. You guys know. You're not going to just yell out at me. That's not how we do it. Stephen Ringel is going to point to you. And when he points to you, he'll respond. And we're not going to get all of your questions because you're never going to stop. You know it and I know it. So when Stephen tells us it's enough, I got to go do another job and the governor has another job. So Stephen, let us know the next person.
Dean, I'm pointing at you. Very good, thank you. Dean Commissioner, New York 1. For the mayor, the police commissioner, maybe the chief of police. All right, there you go. You know murders are up from last year. They're up. Shootings are up. Can you confirm that transit crime is up? And what will you really do to stop the crime? I mean, the feeling that I'm safe is one thing, but am I safe? If you take the cops from the street, putting them on the train, well, the lady at the bodega is going to say, wait, I want that cop in front of my bodega, in front of my house, but I know you want to put them on the subway as well. How do you really keep people safe? You know, maybe the transit chief can address that.
And they can. But, Dean, let's be clear on what I said, okay? We're going to properly deploy our resources smartly. We're going to do it in a smart way. When a police officer is not responding to a call of service, we're telling that officer, instead of sitting in your RMP, you're going to go in the subway system in your sector to have it an extension of your patrol. That is what we have not done in the past. The patrol now for us, your sector now would include your train station. That is crucial. That's a new mindset. There's no longer a separation between the subway system and the streets above. That's smartly using your police resources, a better deployment, and it's a smarter way to do it. If they have a call for service, if they're responding to a crime, they're going to do so. But if there is no calls of service and they're in the RMP waiting for the radio job, they're going to go to our subway system. We're maximizing taxpayers' dollars to utilize our resources smartly. What I stated that I was going to do as mayor. You pay taxes. I want to make sure you get the best bang for your buck with your taxpayers' dollars. We were not doing that. Chief, is there anything you want to add? Commissioner?
Sure. Just as the mayor said, I mean, we talk about perception. So when I talk about numbers, I like to talk about people instead, right? So someone's perception of not being safe is their reality. So just as the mayor said, our intention is to deploy the resources smartly where the crime is occurring, but not to the sacrifice of anything else. When we work smarter, we work better. So there's the omnipresence that we're talking about. They're going to be in locations where people begin to feel safe and know that we're there to assist them.
Okay, folks, I'm being told we got a call at this time. We'll do follow-ups. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.